It's Revival Centre Church news from the period April to June 2025. Read to you by Jeff, Justine and Candice.
New podcast launched. We've just launched our new podcast. You can find out more about how to follow our podcast here, Revival Centre's Church Podcast. The link to that page also shows in the footer of every page on our website. Look for podcast. What is a podcast? A podcast is a series of episodes on a subject. They are audio and are used by people on the go. It is rare for someone to sit down and listen to a podcast episode. Rather, people get them into their phones and play directly, or through earpods or headphones, as they are driving, using car speakers, working, walking, training, gardening, catching transport, etc. Podcast apps. There's probably already one on your phone. Collate podcast episodes from a podcast channel and present them to you, tracking whether you have listened or not, and when new episodes drop. This would be how almost all podcasts are consumed. To get these reminders, you need to follow the particular podcast in your phone. Why a podcast for our church? Some assemblies already run a local podcast. Lots of other organisations run them too. They're a great way to keep a message in the forefront of our thinking and to keep up with updates and other information. We wanted something for our church that spanned the whole work. We will be seeking contributions from other assemblies via pastors over the next little while. In a world full of information, we think it's important to keep getting our message into more and more hands. The podcast also presents an opportunity to try some other communication approaches, like interviews. They are coming soon. So what's in our podcast? Our current thinking is to provide the following: talks, news, interviews, testimonies, overviews. We'll see what else comes to mind after we have tried it for a while. How often will episodes come out? We're starting with twice a week. If you want to see how to follow our podcast, look on our website.
Sawtell Easter Camp. The Coffs Harbour Assembly hosted Easter Camp in Sawtell at a new venue with meetings held at William Belden Public School. The theme for camp was God's Message. It's good, it works, and it's for everybody. We kicked off on Friday morning with a talk from Pastor Craig Fox from the Sunshine Coast about sending God's message. That night, we were treated to items and games, talks from Brady and Luke with a focus on receiving God's message. Saturday lunch was a mission fundraiser, sausage sizzle and time of fellowship. That night, we were entertained with items, music, ministry and a wide variety of testimonies where God has been working in people's lives. We reminisced with a slideshow and anecdotes celebrating the last 30 years of Easter camps at Sawtell. On Sunday morning, we held the communion meeting after an encouraging talk by Pastor Paul Stewart from Canada. The night meeting, we enjoyed more entertainment, ministry, and followed it up with more fellowship time. Thank you to everyone who contributed to make the weekend happen. It was an encouraging weekend away with everyone enthused to tell people about God's message.
Easter Camp at Freshie. We call it Freshie because it's located at Freshwater Creek, but it's kind of a double meaning because going to a camp is itself refreshing. The theme of the Easter camp this year was God's treasure. We heard talks about the treasure hid in the field, Matthew 13, that Jesus bought the whole world because of the special treasure, Israel, that was within it, that God's marvellous salvation was therefore opened up to everyone. We heard that God commanded the light to shine out of darkness into our hearts, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. But that we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that God saw fit to fill us with his Spirit, even into our mortal bodies. We heard of the treasure to come, that God has wonderful plans for the world. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Of course, we had lots of fun too. Sausage sizzle, items that encouraged or amused us, the inevitable hard-fought Jeopardy quiz, wherein each team leader required deep heat later to cater for their arms being thrown out in efforts to steal the question. Times of prayer together each morning added plenty of closeness to God into the mix. That's Freshie, refreshing us, encouraging each other, being built up. What a camp.
Port Fairy Easter Camp. A big group gathered at the annual Port Fairy Easter Camp hosted by the Warrnambool Revival Church. Plenty of great talks this year with the camp theme of life and peace. The Reed and Movie Theatre in the heart of Port Fairy hosted our meetings. It was the venue where we enjoyed both a prayer meeting and a talk in the mornings, followed in the evenings by a variety night along with 2 talks. On the Friday night, Angus Clark hosted a testimony night. We heard first-hand accounts of how God has worked in people's lives by providing peace in difficult situations and providing an abundant life as we walk with Him. A highlight this year was the musical outreach on the village green. Port Fairy has deep roots with live music, and the town hosts an annual folk music festival, which fitted in well with our live musical outreach. Our band members played for an hour or so, while other saints mingled with the crowd, spreading the gospel. It was the first outreach of this kind and was a great success. The Easter weekend program included the usual events, the golf afternoon, barbecue, walks and great fellowship with saints from all parts of Australia. Thanks again to the Warrnambool RCC for hosting another great Easter camp.
Melbourne Outreach Concert. We had our first concert for 2025 at The Box on Saturday, 17th of May. It was held in the dining room with a full house, including a large number of visitors. What an amazing range of musical genres, but all with a very professional flair. Temple of the Sun began the concert with an 11-minute song composite that set the level of quality from the start. Beautiful words about our amazing God, coupled with stunning harmonies and complex backing from a range of electric instruments. This was followed by a much gentler duet song from Tiana and Pastor Justin, backed by acoustic guitars. Then Tiana performed a solo of her favourite hymn plus others. The concert went from quiet ballad-type songs to real toe-tapping 80s-style music with the group The Jubilation. This was their first performance and had everyone moving to the beat for their 4 songs. They said that they had a few technical difficulties, but I am sure most didn't worry. Then came the laid-back Joel H's group Many or Few, which featured blues songs from his gravelly voice coupled with a moody blues backing. Graham followed, playing a solo acoustic guitar. He sang 4 of his own songs that had the whole audience hushed so they could hear every word and note. The last group was Infinite Fire. The volume increased markedly, and the impact was perfect. Keyboard, electric guitars, drums, bass and singing, all in harmony. The songs ranged from loud prog rock to ballad and were composed by either Neil Morse or the band. A great night of amazing talent, outreach and munching on finger food while drinking fresh coffee. Perfect!
Papua New Guinea Trip Report. Pastor Darcy Ryan from Brisbane travelled to Papua New Guinea with Pastor Graham McKinstry from Dunedin. It was Pastor Darcy's 60th trip. He writes, PNG is called the land of the unexpected. I have renamed it the land of the expected, as I understand that things do not always go as planned. Our first day was travelling from Brisbane to Port Moresby with a 90-minute stopover before heading on a domestic flight to Wewak. Our plane from PNG was over an hour late getting into Brisbane, making us only arrive in Port Moresby with only minutes to catch our flight to Wewak. We made it as the domestic flight had been delayed by an hour. Great to have one of those unexpecteds work in our favour. This trip we had many cancelled and rescheduled flights that changed daily, which is par for the course in PNG. Wewak is our first main meeting of fellowship with the oversight of the church and the assembly. It is always a delight to visit Wewak. Vanimo. Our next port of call was Vanimo, usually a 40-minute flight, but with another rescheduled flight it took us 7 hours. Wewak, Madang, Port Moresby, Vanimo. The welcome in Vanimo is always great and the fellowship here was fantastic. Another oversight meeting, planned meetings, communion meeting and our boat ride down to Runapi on Monday the 5th of May. 2.5 hours in a 14-foot boat was a pleasant ride as I was on the left side and didn't get wet, whereas Pastor Graham was on the right side and did. Pastor Graham spoke to all who attended and there were many observers attending this day. I spoke about the history of revival centres from its beginning in Australia and how the message has spread to the world, including Papua New Guinea. Pastor Celestine, our zone pastor from Wewak, sang an item. He has a great voice. We were unable to get into Sassano once again due to a fuel shortage, with another one of those unexpected things, so we decided to cut short our visit to this zone and head to the Madang zone. Plans and flights were cancelled and remade, only to be changed when our flight from Vanimo was cancelled. We decided to stay in Port Moresby until we were able to get out of Vanimo before leaving on Tuesday for Australia. Port Moresby. Ultimately, it was great to stay in the capital for these 6 days, as Graham and I could have extra fellowship with the saints in this city. A lot of future planning was completed for the upcoming national rally, and the youth summit was finalised. Our work in Papua New Guinea is growing from strength to strength. All the pastors are united in the message, and their dedication to their roles in the church is rewarding to see. One of those expectations is when we put our faith and trust in the Lord. Well done, Papua New Guinea. That's from Pastor Darcy Ryan and Pastor Graham McKinstry.
Melbourne, Sisters in Spirit. Over 60 women attended our regular Sisters in Spirit Fellowship afternoon tea. Women from Melbourne, Peninsula, Ballarat, Bellarine and Country Victoria met with the intention of sharing testimonies and scriptures that had proven inspirational in their lives. MC of the day's events, Candace shared, "It was a great opportunity to talk with women from many assemblies about the experience of receiving the Holy Spirit, share testimonies of God working in our lives, and discuss the Word of God and the power it has to strengthen and uplift us. Hearing other sisters tell of their direct insights was deeply encouraging and helpful. A huge thank you goes out to the team behind the delicious coffee, tea and food from the day. Look out for the next Sisters in Spirit get-together. Women of all ages are welcome to come along."
Melbourne Youngies Summit. What a weekend the summit was. It was great to catch up with the saints and see everyone's smiling faces. From talks to testimonies, the play, items and more, it was all very enjoyable and encouraging. We started off with a meet and greet, which is always a banger. Saturday we had the usual, meetings and the like. Huge thank you to all the pastors that took time out of their busy schedules to come and talk to us on lots of different topics. The theme for the weekend was steadfast, spanning everything spoken from the platform to individual conversations. It was very heartwarming. It's always great to get together with like-minded people. During the pastors' workshop, we enjoyed listening to their individual words of wisdom about what's important in our way of life, how to prevent becoming lukewarm in the ways of the Lord, and loads more. Soon after we had a prayer meeting, which was uplifting, and it was amazing to see everyone come together and be there for one another. Let's not forget how much fun we had at the trivia night with questions about the Bible, sports, music and more. My personal favourite were the Bible questions. It's always interesting to see what type of questions are used to quiz us. Finally, a big shout out to those who hosted the weekend. Your efforts were greatly appreciated. Thanks for reading this, and we hope to see you all at our Queensland rally in October.
Be exalted, O God, above the heavens.
Thanks for listening. You can find out more about Revival Centres Church at our website, revivalcentres.org. See you next time.
Be